What's going on? Shout out to all the YouTube viewers watching right now. So we are live. All right, so um testing. I don't know if there's any response coming from the microphone right now. Let me see though. Let me see. This is the first time using this microphone. Well, no, it's not the first time, but um using a new audio interface. So I got the M Audio Air interface hooked up. I used to have a Steinberg audio interface. I can't remember the model. But you are now tuning in to Kahunaveli TV. This is Kahunaveli, and let's talk about it. So before we actually begin the live, oh, here we go. All right, so it is working. I'm not entirely sure if the audio is from my microphone or if it is coming from the laptop. So excuse the video quality. From my end, it is showing up um pretty blurry, pretty washed out. But on the um when I view it on the mobile version on my Samsung Galaxy S20 5G, it's showing up quite clear. The audio sounds pretty good from what I just checked out the couple few seconds. So you might hear echo when I did check that out. Again, I'm not really prepared because it's the first time I'm using it like this. I did want to increase the audio quality. If the video quality does not hold up when you guys are viewing this, over time, I'm going to be slowly upgrading the videos and making them more professional. But as of right now, um, it's going to take some time. So as of right now, we're just dealing with it like this. If y'all want to see better quality videos much faster, hit me in the comment section or and ask me to send you my Cash App, and you can donate to improving the quality of these videos, and we could put out better quality videos much sooner. Meaning I could go get a 4K webcam to link with my laptop, or whatever the case may be. So that way you're getting good video quality and good audio. So this is a AKG P120, I believe. Great for recording music, great for doing podcasting, great for these live YouTube videos, great for pre-recordeds. I just do live videos because it's much faster. And it's simple. I don't have to use up any memory on my computer or any device that I'm using to record the videos. With that being said, as you can see, I have the Steinberg headphones that came with my Steinberg audio interface. Anyone who is recording music, you need an audio interface. Okay, now where are we? Okay, so as you guys already know, on the Let's Talk About It videos, I like to communicate with you, the viewers, about things I feel are important to discuss with you guys. Usually it'll be more controversial topics, usually pertaining to celebrities and their bullshit and whatever the hell they've got going on. However, sometimes it might just be something that I feel you guys should hear at that point in time. So, and I will be, since these videos are usually pretty long, I'm not going to talk about the same topic the entire video. So if there's something I'm talking about that you feel offended about, or you feel, or you just don't particularly agree with, or you just don't want to hear, just continue watching. Go do something while the video is playing. Keep the views up, and please, guys, if you're getting bored, do not exit the video. Most of you guys have a updated smartphone like this. This is a Samsung Galaxy S20 5G. Some of you have the Galaxy S21, 22, whatever is out right now, or you have the latest iPhone. I'm not sure about the iPhone, but I know on the Galaxy S20, you can multitask, you can multi-screen. Just put the shit in the background, mute the audio, and do whatever the hell else you're doing on your phone. Keep the analytics at a high rate. Now, with that being said, let's get to the topic. So, um, I've noticed lately, there's been a lot of let's put let's put it like this. I've been telling you guys in my videos about things, and a lot of you, when you view my videos, like specific topics, like let's say, for example, the minority communities, um, and them being systematically destroyed by the community that is in power, which this is not hate speech at all. We all know the community that's in power right now. The Caucasian community, or quote unquote white community, has been in power for the last few centuries, right? At least that's what history tells us. And that's the history they put out there. So they can't get upset when educated people come out and say, hey, you guys have been in power all this time, and you guys have had a chokehold on every other civilization, every other group of people, and you guys have systematically destroyed other groups of people. They can't get upset about that, but they do. And a lot of the reason why I think is due to guilt. I even think that the white community has been tricked by their own bullshit themselves, because a lot of them are uneducated now. Um, and again, I have nothing to do with any particular Caucasian slash quote unquote white person. I just have a problem with the evils that and atrocities that their ancestors have committed, right? Um, and I do have an issue with how much they've done us down over the years. 1 minute. All right. So before we get back to the topic, sorry about the interruptions, the disturbance. Um, I'm going to be uploading a video of my eldest son wrestling. It's a wrestling class. So I want you guys to go check that video. I'll show some support. Whenever I do make the time to go to his classes, some of us are working people. Some of us have to make money and take care of our responsibilities. And me, as a father, I do so. Um, I take care of my responsibilities, and I bust my ass each and every day to make sure I do that. So the white community, well, all communities, um, have an issue. All people around the globe have an issue accepting responsibility. That shows a clear sign of a lack of integrity among all human beings, and that's a problem. And that until we understand and accept the fact that we need to accept responsibility for the things that we do, um as far as uh when it comes to certain things, until we realize that, things will never change. Things will never change. You're always going to have one group feeling they're superior to another group. You're always going to have one group that's dominant to the other group. You're always going to have infighting amongst people. You're always going to have issues, right? And one of the things I feel is a serious problem with the Caucasian slash white community is that the need to be superior, the need to put their foot or boot on the neck of every other culture, the thirst for power. It's like a bloodlust for power, and to the point where they destroy these other communities, not realizing that when you take a community of people, a group of people, and you move them to another location, you're going to eventually become dependent on them, whether, especially when you make that group of people dependent on you. See, there is no true relationship where um two classes of people are not dependent on each other. The higher class does depend on the lower class, and the lower class does depend on the higher class. When you make a group of people solely dependent on you, to some capacity, you're going to be dependent on them. And here's an example of that, right? The black community is dependent on, and I'm using the black community because of slavery, the civil rights era, the segregation era, all of that, and the systematic destruction upon the black community, that is visible, obviously visible, and can't really be denied, right? Um, with other communities, there's some basis and level of deniability on Caucasians' parts. But with the black community, it's impossible. There's no deniability, so they just place blame. They say, "Well, yeah, we did blah, 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 and but you guys did it to yourselves also." So there's justifiability in that, but there's not. It's false justifiability, right? With that being said, right, in the Caucasian community, their problem is an inability to accept responsibility for evils that their ancestors did, and that they're still doing today. And they have this inferiority complex that causes them to have a Napoleon syndrome. And with that Napoleon syndrome, it's like a little man's complex. So you lash out and you have to assert your dominance in order to feel equivalent. Okay, it's not that you want to feel superior, you want to feel equivalent. In order to do that, you have to make yourself superior. You understand? So with that being said, in the white community, um that they don't realize that they're dependent on every other culture's community as well, because even though financially, economically, in every spectrum, in every system that's in place within a society, they're in control. They still need um, some exchange between themselves and the culture that they are basically in control of. With that being said, is that let's use the Asian community, for example. The white community needs the Asian community, particularly Japan, China, Korea. They need them for their technological advances. They need them for chipsets for computers. They need them for chipsets for other things. They need them for a lot of different things. They need them for a lot of stuff that they won't admit to. For example, the iPhone is an American device. So we believe on the surface, it's promoted as an American device, right? And when people picture America, they don't picture a multicolored, multicultural place. They picture white people. We all know that. There's nothing. There's no denying that, right? Um, we consider the iPhone the competitor to the Asian phones of Sony, Samsung, HTC, all these other companies, right? Or Huawei or whatever. Right. But for a very long time, Samsung produced chips for the iPhone and other parts. So that's a clear and perfect example of the white man, right? And again, I'm not saying this to be, pushing hate speech. I'm checking everybody at this point, and every group and every culture of people. I'm just gonna check you. All right. And we're gonna talk about it. You're watching, let's talk about it. So let's fucking talk about it, right? So now with that being said, right, that's a clear and perfect example of white people having a strong uh grasp on the people and needing the people for something. So for example, the iPhone has a dominance in the cell phone market, but in order to make that happen, they needed Asian producers of the chipsets and parts for the iPhone in order to produce it. I don't know if they still use Samsung parts, but they have for a long time, right? Now, with that being said, um, now let's go to the Latino community, and particularly the Mexican community, right? The Mexican community. Uh, White people, and it's gonna sound super, super racist. It's gonna sound super fucked up, but white people need the Mexican community for cheap labor, if nothing else, for cheap labor, as well as the Asian community. But That's outsourcing. And when they're importing goods, right, into America that are produced, supposed to be American goods that are produced in Asian countries because it's cheap labor and it's cheaper for them. So they make it out to be cheaper. They make us believe that it's cheaper for them to hire people in other countries and then import the goods here, and instead of just producing the goods here and have Americans creating these goods. The only reason it's more expensive for them, well, they say it's more expensive here, is because you have to pay more to citizens of the United States. That's the only reason why. And they have people working in sweatshops in these Asian countries, right? Um, and that's just really what it boils down to. Also, America's not a producing country like that. Let's be real about it. We don't have all the resources that would allow for that to happen. One second. All right, back to what I was saying. What was I? Ah, that's right. All right. So, as far as the where was I? Ah, America's not really a producing country anymore. We don't really have the same amount of factories we did during the industrial age. Um, Now we're in a technological age, but a lot of other countries, they're still they're in a technological age, but they still have certain places that are still industrial and still producing. We also don't have a lot of resources that we need to produce. So even though we do make shoes like Jordan and Nike and other stuff, these are brands that come from, left the fucking window open. Uh but gotta get cool air because the heat is on now. All right, so there. Where was I? Where was I? Jordan is not made in the United States. It's made in Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken, right? The reason for that is because America has made it cheaper to outsource for the materials to make the shoes. The materials are produced in these other countries. That's why it's cheaper. It's not because the labor is cheaper. It is because you get sweatshop workers and have kids working underage, and there's labor laws here, unlike in other countries. And even if there are labor laws in those other countries and other continents, they don't give a fuck. You understand what I'm saying? So they're not keeping that in check. Um, so with that being said, if America started becoming a producing country, we produce the materials to make the products that we make, and we're not just putting it together, it will be cheaper to produce the goods here. And I think that's what Donald Trump was trying to make happen. But see, we're going to talk about why there's an issue there. And white people were tricked into voting against Trump too. Those of you who were on the lower end of the financial spectrum and the lower end of the financial class system and social class system. Those of you who are in the lower class, lower middle class, and even upper middle class, those of you who have no stake in politics whatsoever or any finances, you guys voted against Trump because the media told you to. Point blank, period. Now, let's go to how white people need Mexicans, right? The Mexicans are cheap labor here in America. Why? Because they use people who come from countries that are in civil war with themselves. They're having a lot of turmoil in their countries and people are leaving. So in Mexico, you have the drug cartels warring with the police there, the Mexican police and federales and all of that stuff. So you have that conflict there that keeps the country constantly in turmoil. You also have a lack of resources there as well. Now, don't get it twisted. There are tourist areas in Mexico that are beautiful, but and I'm sure the entire country is somewhat beautiful, but there is a lot. Um, there's a lot of corruption even in their government that makes it difficult to afford a place to live and to survive and thrive. And also because America has played games with the media. All right. So America has been a master manipulator through the media for centuries, right? Basically making it seem like your country is shit, our country is great. If you're not here, you can't be successful, you can't live a great life. So a lot of people come here with these hopes and dreams that they can make it here and make themselves rich and see um the grass is greener on the other side, so to speak, right? Um and that's been the downfall of so many fucking places, so many countries for so long, right? Um with that being said, so cheap labor from Mexico. So you have people coming from Mexico who are looking for a hope and a dream, and they're willing to take any kind of pay because they have yet to experience a lot of the evils of the corporate world in America yet, right? They have yet to see that I can bust my ass and work hard for so many years and still not accomplish shit. They haven't seen that yet. Okay, and then even when they do though, they figure out a way to finesse the system, and they also have a very strong family structure. So at least where I grew up, right, you'll notice that black people are living in project buildings and have been living in project buildings, some of them for decades. The grandparents era lived in those same projects. The next generation lived in those projects. The next generation, all the way to my generation and after, have been in the same project buildings. You'll see 3, 4, 5 generations of fucking people living in these project buildings. And some people say that's not possible. That's exaggeration. No, it's very fucking possible. And the reason why is because in the black community, people are having children super fucking young. And and that's just the way it is. So there's no fear from the youth to say, I'm not going to get pregnant, or I'm not going to get this female pregnant. Because laws now, your parent put their foot in your ass for the dumb shit that you're doing and trying to correct you for the things you're doing. Even saying something slightly threatening, they were told that they'll go to jail. But there are parents out there, and I applaud you, who don't give a fuck. They're gonna make sure their children do the right thing, don't become a statistic, and they make sure their children are not gonna end up pregnant young or getting someone pregnant young and not being capable, not willing, but not capable, not unwilling, but not capable of taking care of the child they produce, right? There are still parents like that. Okay. So, unlike the black community, the Mexican community, you will see them, yes, start out in terrible living conditions. But because of the experiences that they have back in their home country and the things that they learn and the values that they learn and the tools that they have from learning carpentry, learning how to build things and landscaping and stuff, they utilize those skills that black people do not have today in today's time. They utilize those skills to A, build up where they live at, and B, to move the fuck out of where they live at. They create businesses and create an economy within their own culture. Black people don't have that. Okay. Black people also don't have any type of culture outside of hip hop, soul food, and sports, and which is not black people's culture. These sports, anyway, they don't have any culture to to give into society. Okay, to they don't have any culture that makes the rest of society buy into black people, right? And when black people do create something from the pain that they are experiencing, uh music, uh films, things like that, it gets taken away by the Caucasian, right? It gets taken away by white people and gets whitewashed, is taken over, right? Slowly infiltrated and destroyed. Period. As soon as white people are no longer able to make a dollar off of it, it's gone, right? And they corrupt everything beautiful that black people create. Mexicans have been able to avoid that. Indians have been able, and not Native Americans, quote unquote, indigenous people, but Indians from India have been able to avoid that Asians have been able to avoid that. Why is that? Because they have a home base, a place where they can constantly pull culture from, and they have a sense of pride from culture. Black people don't have that. Even though we have these back to Africa motherfuckers who talk about, oh, let's go back to Africa. And at first it's let's go back to Africa. Now it's let's go back to Egypt. Then it's let's go back to Kemet. Let's go to fucking the Sudan. Let's go to fucking uh let's go to Mecca. Let's go to all these fucking places. You have all these groups of people, and no disrespect, you have the you have so many groups, the Black Panthers, you have the RGBs, right? You have the RBGs, my fault, red, black, and green. So um you have fuck the Garveyites. You have the Kemetic scholars. You have the Hebrew Israelites. You have the Nation of Islam. You have other Muslim groups. You have the Christians. You have all of these groups, the NCAACP, whatever. NAACP. Yeah, NAACP. My fault, guys. I get mixed up with these abbreviations, right? You have all of these groups that come out of Black people who have done nothing to really fix the problem amongst Black people. We've done little bits and pieces, but nothing has really changed, right? And I mean, let's say that they're really giving a great effort, right? That's cool. Oh, let's not forget, you have the Crips, you have the Bloods, you have the GDs, you have the Vice Lords, you have the BDs, all of that. You have all of these groups, and now some of these groups are strictly criminal organizations. Some of them started out as criminal organizations and will always be criminal organizations. Some of them, oh, the Black Spades. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of fucking hate. And please, if tell me in the comment section if I'm wrong anywhere. The fucking Zulu Nation, even though you have the whole pedophile ring with that, you have um um the whole shit with Africa Bambaataa being a fucking super rapo pedophile sick motherfucker, right? You have that, and him doing that for years, and raping an entire generation of children, multiple generations at that. Let's not even get it twisted, right? Even though you have that, you have the structure of trying to build Black people, right? And there's always some sort of scandal or controversy that fucks it up. There always is something that fucks it up, some sort of infiltration. And it's not only the infiltration that fucks it up, it's not understanding that just as hard as they're pushing to destroy you, you have to push a million times harder to prevent them from continuing to destroy you. Right? But as many groups as Black people create, there has not been a level of success whatsoever and change at all. And correct me if I'm wrong. Please hit the comment section. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right? We have um there. It's crazy because every other culture who's had a revolution and separated themselves for whoever their fucking oppressor was, they were pretty much successful. Mexico was successful. Um, Haiti successful. All of these other people, except for the Black people here in America and in Africa. Really, most of Africa has not had a successful revolution. I mean, there are parts that successfully fought off colonizers, but you know what I mean? For how long can they do that? They're fighting corruption amongst themselves. Okay. And so are we here. Okay. Now, as I said before, there is no difference between most Latinos and American Black people. You're actually all distant relatives, actually close relatives, because slavery wasn't exactly that long ago. So people who are Dominican, 100% Dominican, don't sit there and say, "Oh, see, you Black people are fucked up." No, because you're one of them. You're just even more brainwashed to say, "I'm not like you." People who are 100% Puerto Rican, I'm talking about straight up from Puerto Rico, even born in New York, so New Yorkers or whatever the case may be. You can't say, "Not me," da 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 da, because you're the same ancestors, you're same fucking people. Hondurans, the same fucking thing. Haitians, Jamaicans, all the same thing. The transatlantic slave trade has made you who you are. Other slave trades have made you who you are. So there's no sense of real loyalty, right? Among people who have those people who are removed away from their homeland by force or through trickery. There's no sense of unity amongst these people. Where was I? All right. So I want to touch on something, right? Again, black people do not provide any real culture to the world without it getting stripped away. And even though it's the quality of the culture being provided as well. Okay? So for example, black people are responsible for rock and roll. And how was it so easily? Oh, black people also give up control of the culture that they're providing. How is it so easily that rock and roll was infiltrated and taken over by the white man? And we forget that the black man created that, right? The black man gave it that vibe, that feeling, that emotion that no other culture can really give. And when you listen to the rock and roll that black people created and the rock and roll that at the same period of time, it was just like that white people were doing, emulating and copying, even literally copying songs word for word. There's no comparison. The quality is just totally different. But however, black people have a lack of giving a damn. Okay, for lack of better words, black people just don't give a fuck about what they produce enough to say no, you're not taking this. Look at hip hop now. No disrespect to any of the white rappers, from MC Search to fucking Eminem to MGK to fucking Linkin Park to any of these white rappers, right? These MCs, because a lot of them are super dope and did give a lot to the culture. Um, but but that was a clear warning shot. A lot of these white MCs, creeping in, was warning shots saying, we're taking over. And now we're looking at Eminem like the greatest of all time. You hear it all over fucking YouTube. You hear it all over the radio stations. You see it on TV. He's being pushed as the greatest to ever do it. And let's not forget the era where he was dressing up like fucking Robin. You know what I'm saying? Let's not forget the fucking comedic music that he was making at one point. Let's not forget there was a lack of substance to his music. There's no storytelling, no emotion to any of those records. There are a few like what the fuck? What is the song called? Let me look it up, right? Eminem. Let me look it up. I hope I don't get copyright strike for this. It's been so long since I listened to these. Okay, Lose Yourself. There's some storytelling in that. You know what I'm saying? He's talking about something. You know what I'm saying? There's Stan was talking about some stuff. He was really mentally unstable. But let's not forget about the real Some Shady songs like that that didn't have no fucking substance to it. Um uh there was a couple songs that just really during that time. Not Afraid was a good song. It's but his Mockingbird was good. Um, there was a real lack of connection, of relatability to any black people, and this is a black sport right here that we talking about, hip hop, right? Um, and I know this discussion quickly became a discussion about music and hip hop because we're taking a little break from the serious stuff, the conscious woke stuff, right? A lot of The Way I Am, like a lot of these songs by Eminem, black people couldn't really relate to like that. But this is a black culture. Oh, When I'm Gone, I love that song. But you know, Eminem again, there's a lot of fucking songs that I couldn't really consider hip hop. So I don't know how the fuck we're accrediting him with being the greatest alive. I just don't see it. I really don't see it because for a good span of time, he wasn't making hip hop. It wasn't hip hop, and we get upset at Benzino. People shit talk Benzino so bad, right? People talk so bad about Benzino, and Benzino was saying the same fucking thing I'm saying. I mean, he might have not been saying it the same way and shit, but he was really telling truth. M is not the culture of hip hop. He had at least a decade of bits and pieces of storytelling and songs and talking about his life to where it was relatable and you could feel like he was contributing something to the culture. Hip hop derived from pain and turned it to fun. Hip hop came from talking about shit. Even the early hip hop where it's kind of bubblegum rap is just not, it's just not the same. You don't get that same vibe. The music, he really wasn't good at making music, to be honest with you. His music was, a lot of it was trash. He's just a good lyricist. So we can't say he's the king of hip hop. We can't say he's the rap god. We can't say none of that. But because he's white, the media will push that. And no disrespect to M, because again, he's an amazing lyricist. But when it comes to being hip hop, for a long time he wasn't that. He's just just now really showing his uh the real scope of his contribution to hip hop. There are a lot of artists that should definitely get that title who are not around anymore. Who should definitely get that title before him. All right, so excuse me. There are artists that I would definitely say contributed more to hip hop than Eminem, who have a affinity for hip hop. Even white rappers like MC Search, I feel like he has more of an affinity for hip hop than Eminem. All right, so I want y'all to hit the comment section about anything that I've talked about anything that I've talked about. Um, but again, there's no unity amongst black people to say this is ours, not yours. And it's the only culture I've ever seen to say, you know what, you can have it and willingly submit. And it may be the lack of infrastructure, the lack of ownership of any of these companies or corporations that own hip hop. Black people have a way of selling out. Okay, before any white people took over hip hop and created these companies, these banks that fund these artists, black people had hip hop, and black people sold hip hop for a quick dollar instead of when they sold, put something to protect the culture and protect the people. That wasn't done. Right. So take a little break. As far as hold up, we got commercials popping up now. Yeah, cut the commercials up. So we're gonna take a quick little break. You know what I'm saying? From the seriousness for a second, right? A lot of artists don't talk about their life anymore. We really turn into stunting and flossing. Right. This is real music. And that song, right, is coming from my upcoming mixtape. Um, so far so great, right? So, but black people forgot how to put that feeling in their music. There was that feeling like you couldn't get from anywhere else. When you listen to Tupac, you feel that shit. When you listen to Biggie, you feel that shit. There was something about the authenticity of it. You don't feel that with M. No disrespect to M. You don't really feel that authenticity. I haven't felt that in a long time. The last time I felt that was Not Afraid, and I gotta go listen to his other songs, but I haven't really felt that. He's just right now, just basically he's saying he's just flexing his vocabulary right now. Honestly, he's flexing his vocabulary right now. Well, let's just vibe out, you know. Just vibing, you heard? Hey. Do you remember when we kissed and the stars aligned? Yeah. Do you remember when it rained in the summertime? You already know. Do you remember, girl? Let me remind you. Just vibing, you heard? Do you remember, girl? Do you remember? Let me remind you. I remember the sun, warm in your skin, the face and the strawberries all in the air. Matching our sneakers, just got a fresh pair. You don't hear real shit like this no more. My diamonds so clear, causing a glare, but they can't help but stare. I remember barbecues, sipping out the garden hose, spitting watermelon seeds, sitting back smiling, thinking about these memories. Burgers on the grill, but my mama frying chicken wings before they called them glizzies at the kids eating hot links. 50-cent popsicles, quarter waters and paper plates. I remember food stamps, ice cream and birthday cake, riding on a pedal bike. All the girls mad at their mamas cause they had to put that dress on. Mamas in the kitchen whipping, listening to them sex songs. We was breaking niggas up. Mama yelling out the window, waiting till your daddy home. I was like, fuck him, he ain't never coming home. Me and my fast dance, thinking I was hella grown. We was moving hella fast, truth or dare booty tagging. Now that we adults, sisters loving basketball. Really trying to score while I take your bra off. Playing Marvin Gaye, I remember back then, I ain't really understand. And now I'm growing kids and it's really thanks to him. Thinking healing sexual. You know what I'm saying? That's hopefully I could pick that sound up. And if you couldn't and you could kind of hear it and you catch the vibe, I want y'all to go on my YouTube channel. These are snippets, by the way. The full songs are gonna be on premium subscription sites like Patreon and OnlyFans. I gotta create the OnlyFans. So if you see any OnlyFans talking about Kahunaveli, that is not me yet until I tell you guys. And I will give you the account once I make it. But the Patreon, you know, y'all got to start watching my videos. I've already announced the Patreon. There's like different ones or whatever. I've had to redo the fucking Patreon. I'll be forgetting the passwords and shit. But you don't hear that soul in none of Eminem's music except for when he was going through that bullshit. Okay, Black people have the ability to pull from a place of pain, right? Especially when an artist grew up in a place that there was a lot of pain, and the only way to get away from it was the church. They put a lot of that soulfulness in their shit, right? Not to say the church is a good place, but not all churches were bad, right? Let me see. I'm not like you, people who are 100% Puerto Rican. I'm talking about, but let's not forget about real some shady songs like that didn't have no fucking substance to it. I'm watching my own live. There was a couple songs that just really. I just want to see how good the audio picked up. Good song. You know, it's but his Mockingbird was good. There was a real lack of connection, of relatability to any Black people, and this is a Black sport right here that we're talking about, hip hop, right? Oh, so if you guys hear gaps in audio, a lot of that time I was muting my microphone. So I'm waiting for the live to do what it does. Like I was saying, you know, hip hop shows a lot of separation amongst Black people. You know what I'm saying? It shows clearly a takeover, a hostile takeover of a industry created by Black people. We can't relate. Like I said, we can't relate to Eminem's music like that. Not to say he's not a good rapper, he's not a good MC. He is. He's great, but he's not. He's not hip hop. He's not. That's just what it is, yo. And we literally shunned Benzino and kicked him out of fucking hip hop because he went against Eminem. That's crazy. That's fucked up. But you know, but the disunity starts at 1 minute. I just want to see how good the audio picks up. But we do that. So with that, you guys, while you're waiting, you can exit the live if you want to, or pause this video and go watch listen to the music, or you can just sit and wait with me. Saying the same fucking thing I'm saying. I mean, he might have not been saying it the same way and shit, but he was really telling the truth. M is not the culture of hip hop. He had at least a decade of it. So take a little break. As far as hold up, we got commercials popping up now. They cut the commercials up. So we're gonna take a quick little break. You know what I'm saying? From the seriousness for a second, right? A lot of artists don't. And we've been on here for 46 minutes. Really turn into also, I don't. Oh yeah. So back to what I was saying. So now that I know the audio came in good, we've been on here 46 minutes, and again, I don't do these lives to get viewers right then and there. I go on the live again to avoid using up memory on any of my devices, and then later having to delete the videos and blah blah blah, to avoid having a hard copy of my videos. But like I was saying, the reason why I brought up hip hop is we've allowed people to destroy the culture. So easily, and the only way for us to make a way through and provide a piece to the culture, provide a contribution to the culture, and not basically get pushed to the side or erased or basically shunned, is to go along with the fuckery. Like for example, right? And shout out to this man. He's done great things for the culture, but he had to do a lot of suspect shit in order to make his contribution to the culture. And I feel like a lot of black people have to sell out. So shout out to Tyler Perry, the sellout king. No disrespect, but he did have to sell out a lot. He had to put on a dress in order to become who he is today. Okay, do we know? Can we? Do we know if he would have ever been who he is today without putting that dress on? And there are plenty of movies that he and plays that he did not, that he produced and created, that he did not put on a dress. There are a lot. Or do we really accredit him for those though, as much as we do Medea? And I guess it does come from a place of pain. It does come from a place of reality. Like all black people creations come from a place of reality. We draw energy from the universe. Anything people of color create, it comes from the universe. It comes from experience. It comes from life. It comes from reality. Everything. There's nothing imaginative about it at all, right? And again, if you imagine it, you create it. So that's just, it starts out up here first. It starts out in the mind first, right? And then the heart first. So, but let's be clear. All black movies come from a place of reality. Look at Spike Lee's movies. We love Tyler Perry. We love fucking Tyler Perry, right? But we don't give Spike Lee the love that he's supposed to get. We don't. There's a generation of kids that grew up on Spike Lee movies. I grew up watching Do the Right Thing. Okay, I know who the fuck Spike Lee is, and if I'm not mistaken, Spike Lee might have produced He Got Game also. But there's a lot of movies that Spike Lee made, which I'm gonna, Spike Lee, Spike. So shout out to Spike Lee. He did a lot for the culture. He was so pro black though, that he kind of fizzled away in his generation. We need more Spike Lee films though. We need more Spike Lee films. You know what I'm saying? We need more Spike Lee films. Get on the Bus, I believe he made. Spike Lee. Let's see what he's produced. We got to give Spike Lee some love, but we love Tyler Perry, right? But I don't think white culture. I don't think our culture appreciates would have appreciated him without those Medea films. And that's really fucked up. That's really fucked up. Without those Medea plays and films, that the powers that be would not have let him be where he's at without having to put that dress on. Um, to some capacity, black actors to become as big as white actors, they have to exaggerate the negative um parts of black culture in the films that they play in order for them to receive the same success that a white actor gains playing a fucking superhero. And I'm not literally like with the tidy whities underwear and the capes and stuff superhero. I mean them playing a positive role. Black people don't gain that same level of success. Okay, to some capacity you have to exaggerate excuse me, the negative stereotypes of black culture. Same thing with Latinos though. It's so true. And it's sad. You either gotta play a gang member, you gotta play a homosexual, you gotta play a big mama, you gotta play uh which Medea was a big mama, right? You gotta play a thug, a drug dealer. You gotta play those roles, and you have to over exaggerate those roles and make people believe that that is what the fuck black culture is all about. And when you do play a pro black character, you have to be the most back to Africa